Hey everybody, Coach Allison back with week 50, Defy Aging. This week we have one circuit with 6 exercises. You're gonna go through that circuit for 4 rounds. Rounds 1 and 2 are 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Rounds 3 and 4 are 30-30. So for rounds 3 and 4, you get a little less work time and a little more rest time. Okay, let's go over our exercises this week. Exercise 1 is grapevine. We haven't had this for a while. It's maybe a little bit of cardio, but really we're focusing on kind of more agility and footwork. Okay, so many of you will know the grapevine just by the name. It's called a few other things as well, but you're gonna take one leg and go behind the other, and then that same leg now goes in front. So think of kind of maybe square dancing. I think it's involved in that. I used to do that with my dad when I was a kid. But so if you take it up a little bit faster, it will look like this. I'll go both directions so you can see me. So I don't know if you noticed, but I was turning, letting my hips turn and twist. So you want to make sure that you're not staying really rigid in the hips and just trying to use the feet, because then you're going to get really tripped up over your feet and you won't get a good range of motion with your steps. But if you allow your hips to really open up and turn, notice I'm turning my hips this way, and now I'm turning my hips that way. So really allow your hips to move and get comfortable with the movement. Go at whatever speed you need, but as you get more comfortable with it, I want you to speed it up and start going nice and quick. Next up, we have a high plank shoulder touch. So a high plank means you're on your hands instead of your elbows. So we're going to come down to that push-up position. I suggest putting your feet nice and wide to help your stability. And want to make sure the hips are level, so our hips aren't way up here. It's very important. After that, we're going to tap the opposite shoulder. Try to stay as still as you can while you do that. You can definitely put the knees down and do a knee plank as well. Make sure your hips, again, are level, however, so we're not in a tabletop. And of course, you can come up to an incline and do this as an incline plank as well. Next up, we have lateral in, out steps with the agility ladder. So we got our ladder. We're gonna be going side to side. So it's really important with this. If you're going to your left, which I'm gonna start with going to my left, you need to lead with the left leg. When you're going to your right, you lead with your right leg. And I'll show you why that is. Otherwise, you are going to get tripped up over your feet. So I'm leading to my left, so I'm going to step in first with my left leg and out. So you can start really slowly so you kind of get your bearings down, but the goal here is to actually add a good amount of speed. So we are turning this into an agility exercise. Then when you go to the right, you lead with your right leg. So you'll step in, out. You notice I'm doing the first step now with my right leg. So again, if you use the wrong leg, it's going to be kind of goofy. It's going to get you tripped up a little bit. Stay on the balls of your feet so you're nice and light on your feet and start to gain as much speed as you can. Next up is a mini band fire hydrant. So we've got that mini band. You want to place it just a little higher than your knees. So a couple inches above the knee. You'd be on hands and knees in that tabletop position. And the fire hydrant is taking one leg and bringing it up like this. So you got that resistance from the band. Really important here to stay as still as you can in the body and hips, meaning I'm not using my other arm to like dip down to get higher with my leg. I'm not letting my hips turn. See how my hips are now turning? So you really want to isolate the movement in the hip socket. And sometimes that can feel frustrating because you can't lift the leg as high as if you sacrificed that form. But we just want to keep the tension on there the whole time. You're going to do the entire sets with one leg. When you come back around for set 2, you'll do the other leg, and that is how we'll get both sides. Now, slight variation. I'm going to lower this to my ankles now and walk really goofy to turn my camera. All right. A modification to keep you off the floor if needed. We're going to do a standing lateral leg lift. So you can use something to hold on to nearby if you like. You don't have to. We're going to do a lateral leg lift. Want to avoid tilting and tipping. That's where maybe holding on to something might help a little. But that is your option for the fire hydrant to keep you off the floor. Okay, team, next we have a side plank. This is a very challenging exercise, so give it a try. You're all familiar with our typical planks, which we do a lot on the forearms and the toes. So side plank, you are on your side. You want to make sure the elbow is directly under the shoulder. That's very important. What I mean by that is we don't want it kind of tucked way down under here. We don't want it too far out like that. So just straight up and down from the shoulder. Now we're going to start with bent knees, especially if this is a new exercise for you. So keep the knees bent, stack them, but make your body nice and straight. So you want to straighten it up. What we don't want to do is have a bend at the waist here, bend at the hips. So we're not doing this. So make your body nice and straight. Okay, meaning flush, like from my chest to my knees is nice and flat. And then we lift the hips off the floor and we hold it. Okay? Then let your head droop, so we don't want to do this. Keep your head up so it's kind of in a neutral alignment with your spine. Okay, that's one way. Try that. It's actually a lot of shoulder, even though it is a core exercise. Now I'm going to show you the next progression. If you feel ready to try that, it is very challenging. We're going to stack, extend the legs, and stack the feet. So my feet are right on top of one another. Well, I guess the top one is on, I worded that weirdly. And then we lift, and again, we're keeping nice and flush here, meaning I have to move my neck a little bit so I'm in frame. Nice and flat, meaning we're not like turned at the hips or anything. This top arm can just do whatever you want. Try to avoid the top arm being here because then that makes you turn. So side planks are very challenging. Start with that knee version, progress up to the feet, the extended legs on the feet if you feel ready. Now if you're unable, to maybe get to the floor, right, we always have an alternative. We want to hit those same muscles, so those are hitting your obliques, those side planks. So an alternative option is going to be a standing side bend. So take a nice heavy weight. Kettlebell is nice because it hangs, it's bottom loaded, so it just feels comfortable. Other hand is on your hip, and we're going to dip down and pull up. So a couple things to keep in mind. Don't go so low that your other foot lifts off the floor. And don't compensate by sticking this hip out this way. See how I'm dipping down here, but I'm sticking my hip out. So you keep your body very still. And we do that side bend. Also don't shrug and lift on the way up. Just keep the arm dead weight. Okay, a lot of options for that. Give that new side plank a try. Last exercise for the whole circuit, half kneel back row. We're going to do the row with both arms, but of course the half kneel is different. One leg up, one leg down. So we're in that half kneel position. We want both legs to have a 90-degree bend, so watch out for that front leg being less than 90 or more than 90. We have handle in each hand. Sit up tall and straight. Do our typical standard row, elbows staying snug, chest out. Proud chest, don't shrug the shoulders. And you kind of squeeze those shoulder blades together behind you. Exhale on the pull as well. Same thing as the side plank. Forget the other single-sided exercise we did. I actually forgot. But same thing with the other single-sided things. Round one, do one leg up. Round two, do the other leg up. And then rounds 3 and 4, same thing. So you'll get 2 rounds with each leg up and down. That's our half kneel back row. And of course, the option to keep you up off the floor, we're going to do a staggered stance back row. Everything is really the same. You're staggering your stance. So for example, this was my half kneel. This is the stagger, so it's very, very similar, right? And the upper body movement with the row is exactly the same. All those same cues I already mentioned, okay? Half kneel or staggered stance back row. Okay team, that is week 50. See you back next week.